Hi, I'm Tara Lynn of Geek Saga Entertainment here with my co-host Manny for our October 2025 State of the Saga discussion.
So I'm Manny, and in these monthly updates, we'll be talking about what we've been listening to, playing, reading, and/or watching, and probably also just general stuff that's going on with our lives and maybe even recent pop culture happenings.
Before we get started, just a heads up that you can follow me and therefore all of the Geek Saga endeavors at a Geek Saga on Blue Sky, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and YouTube.
And you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Manissimo Art.
Just a few house cleaning items before we dig in. First, thank you to any patrons who are joining us for the patron-only live stream version of this month's State of the Saga. Second, thank you also to any patrons watching the early release of the live stream recording. You guys are such a big part of helping us to keep the lights on, so to speak, for Geek Saga Entertainment, and we truly, truly appreciate each and every one of you and the support you give. Finally, if you're watching or listening to this recording once it's gone public, keep in mind that we record these approximately 2 to 2.5 weeks prior to their public release. And also, pretty please make sure to hit those like and or subscribe buttons. And if you're catching it somewhere where you can give it a rating, it would really help us out if you could mark it 5 stars. Also, if you aren't already part of our Patreon family, please check out our sponsorship options. For just $5 a month, you can watch our State of the Saga episodes live and get access to our show notes, while for just $3 a month, you get early access to these episodes and all podcast episodes, among some other fun content. Check it out at patreon.com/geeksaga_entertainment.
With all that out of the way, we're going to get into our discussion. We are going to kick this month's episode off with news and/or gossip.
What is your first newsy, gossipy item?
So my first one is that I heard that they're going to be making a limited series of a Blade Runner series that is going to be $20.99. So it's a sequel from the 2045 or whatnot for Blade Runner. Blade Runner is kind of like my baby. I have high hopes for it, but with it being Amazon, I kind of don't also. But apparently they did really good with the Fallout series. So I'm hoping, but this is my problem with Blade Runner, because Blade Runner is not just writing. It's an aesthetic, it's a pace. No one liked the second Blade Runner movie. Why? Because it was long and it was slow and there was a lot of areas in it that just seemed kind of dead almost. But if you go back and watch the original Blade Runner, that's exactly what it was. And with all of these sequels that have been coming out, like these 30-year sequels, I feel like Blade Runner actually did it the best, because it was the one that most closely resembled while still introducing something new to its predecessor. Because it's cool when they make sequels and all this stuff, but I personally am not a fan of 30-year-old sequels. I'm not a fan of it because in the end, it's like, you're going to like a funeral, right? Like they're going to kill off your favorite character, right? Like when they did Star Wars, right? It was like every episode they were killing off one of your childhood heroes. And I'm kind of done with that. But they did a really good job with Blade Runner because it kept the same pacing. Even when I'm doing art a lot, that movie is always in the background for me. It's either the first one or the second one because of its ambiance, the way like it progresses. It's like this slow burn, which I feel with like these 30-year-old sequels, like always kind of, they're like, oh, we got to make it more action or more like for like today's audience. And I feel like Blade Runner did a good job on like not apologizing for its source material. And I was a big fan of that. So with it being an Amazon series, I just hope that all the money they're going to throw into it, because Amazon is really generous about the amount of money they throw into a series. I just hope that they keep the aesthetic, because I feel like with it being a limited run that maybe they won't do that. Because if you're having a limited run and let's say it's just going to be 8 episodes, they're going to try to fit in as much as possible. So they're probably going to make like more fast paced kind of thing, which I hope they don't. I'm just hoping whoever takes the reins on it is an actual Blade Runner fan and kind of stays true and keeps true to its source.
So with it being a limited series, there's the worry of like, well, it's a limited series, so if it doesn't get good ratings or good viewer numbers, then it doesn't really matter because we're not gaming for a season 2. But also, like, I've seen a lot of really great series from Amazon, including limited ones, though most of them were more like not documentary style, but true story type things if they were limited series. I don't know, but Amazon, they do tend to do a good job. Fallout was, the first season was amazing, and I definitely have high hopes for season 2.
Well, I feel like, because in saying that with the limited series thing, there's a flip side to that too, right? Because maybe someone is a really huge Blade Runner fan and he's going to make it his passion project, because now he doesn't care because there's no season 2. They don't have to keep people hooked in. So he's like, oh, I'm going to do this just like the movies, and I'm going to make it slow, and I'll make it a slow burn, and maybe people are going to think it's boring, but it's going to be my passion project, and I'm going to, like, honor Blade Runner. So on the flip side, maybe that'll happen.
Yeah.
You know?
My first newsy thing, because it's October, and I did mention Goosebumps, like having read them a lot as a kid in our 150th episode that we did live last weekend. And by the way, if you're listening to this episode, you can still watch the 150th live, the full length version on YouTube, which is youtube.com/user/Geek Saga, or the podcast episode will be out before this podcast comes out. So definitely check that out. We had a lot of fun. But anyway, like I said, I did mention Goosebumps in that episode. So I thought it would be pertinent to mention that you can now stream the 4 seasons of the original 90s Goosebumps TV series, supposedly for free on this Scholastic. I guess Scholastic has a new app. I don't know. I thought that was a fun, I kind of want to watch it. I want to watch, what's the dummy's name? Slappy, I think. My nieces, for some reason, are obsessed with Slappy, but I don't think they've ever seen the 90s TV show. I think they've only seen, if anything, then maybe the newer one, but I don't. There's 2 seasons of the new Goosebumps, at least as far as I know, on Disney Plus, and I've only seen the 2nd season. So maybe Slappy was in the 1st season, but I kind of want to show my nieces and nephews Slappy from this original Goosebumps, the 90s version, because he's like really fucking weird and creepy. But and then one other thing was that apparently Netflix might be adapting the board game Clue into a competition series, which I feel like people have been doing this in their homes for a while, at least for more than a decade, because my ex and I actually had a whole Clue themed murder mystery party planned out way back in, it would have been like spring of 2013 was when we were planning it. And then our ceiling collapsed in like the front room of our house. And we ended up deciding to do like a whole bunch of extra renovations. And it was taking so long that we never bothered rescheduling it. But this is 2013 that we were planning a Clue themed murder mystery party. And I'd heard of other people doing this. So I'm kind of like, Netflix, people have been ahead of the game on you with this for a long time. I mean, I might still watch it because I want to see how they make it into a competition TV show. But
yeah, that is interesting. I'd like to see that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll start watching it and see how I feel if they actually do this thing. It's apparently just newly in the works. So I don't know. As far as I know, they haven't even really it's not like they've been casting it or whatever. So as far as I know. So is your other newsy thing?
So the other newsy thing is that this week Tron comes out. Speaking of decades old sequels, I'm excited for it. I'm not a Jared Leto fan. I don't like that he's in it, but I'm willing to give it a chance because the trailer does look really good and stuff like that. And the early reviews are coming out and I've stayed away from them. But the only thing that I have heard about it is how stunning the visuals are. And when people come out and say how stunning the visuals are and don't mention anything about the story, then you know what you're walking into. You're walking into a shit story. Okay. And that's the part of me where I'm like, well, it's got Nine Inch Nails as a soundtrack. It's got some visuals. This is probably the movie I don't get high, but this is the movie that I should probably go get high and go watch, so that way I can kind of forget about the story if the story is bad. So again, this is one of those series that I'm a huge fan of. I love Tron. I loved Tron Legacy. I don't care what anyone says. I'll kill someone on that hill. I thought it was a great movie also. It's fantastic. With this one, and I was very excited about the third one. So I don't know. And they keep saying that it's like its own standalone story and has nothing to do with the second movie. However, the way this whole movie is kind of geared, I would be like, it seems like you're saying something like, oh no, it has nothing to do with the second movie and it's a soft reboot. But I'm like, but every part of everything that's going on really is a true sequel to the second one,
Yeah, I thought I saw something somewhere saying that it was like, it's about, because at the end of the second movie, they kind of like let it's been so long since I've seen it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like Flynn's kid comes out and then Cora comes out, and Cora was a computer program. So it was like, okay, so now they're leaving the door open for the computer programs to come in. So they're like, oh, this movie's a soft reboot. So how does it start? Like, the programs have gotten out. It's like, well, isn't that what happened at the end of the second one? Like,
that's
what are we doing here? Like,
that's not a soft reboot.
That's not a soft reboot, dude. That is like I don't know, man, like maybe low fat reboot. Like, I don't know, but that's still a sequel, man. Like a
gluten-free reboot.
Exactly.
It's a gluten-free reboot.
But in the end, I'm still hyped about it. Look, in the end, I was hyped about Indiana Jones Part 4 until I actually saw the movie, right? I saw the movie and it
Yeah.
was terrible. But
Yeah.
I did enjoy the way I felt with the hype. I'm snorting the Coke off the table knowing that when I have the come down, it's going to be a problem. You know what I'm saying? But like, yeah, I'm just going to do that now and enjoy it while I can.
I'm definitely interested to hear about it from you. I'm not going to pay money to see it in a theater. A, because as much as I love where I live in Greenville, like I'm super close to downtown. There's grocery stores and pharmacies and gas stations within like less than a Dunkin' Donuts, other coffee places, et cetera, within like less than a half a mile of my house. But the closest movie theater is like at least 20 minutes away. Basically, all of the movie theaters are at least 20 minutes away and also a shitty drive 20 minutes away too. Like there's never not crappy traffic, and something has to be really exciting for me to want to go see it in the theater here. But also, I'm not going to pay money to see Jared Leto in anything. So I'm going to wait till it's available streaming.
That was one of those things that I was like,
I don't have any problem with somebody else seeing it, but I'm not going to.
No, and that's fair enough. And I totally wholeheartedly understand that. Everybody has a price, and I guess my price is just old cyberpunky movies, you know?
So our last newsy thing that I wanted to talk about, we got a premiere date for Night of the Seven Kingdoms.
Yes.
Very excited about this. It is Sunday, January 18th. Did you watch the trailer? Because the first full trailer also was finally released. It looks really good. It looks exactly like I was wanting and expecting from this story. Kind of a little bit cheesy, honestly, with some of the stuff that was in the trailer, but that's what I expect as somebody who's read them. So as somebody who hasn't read them, what were your thoughts on the trailer?
So one of my favorite things from the original Game of Thrones was I loved the adventures that like the Hound and Arya went on, right? Like I was a big fan of that. That was probably like one of my favorite parts of Game of Thrones, right? Because it wasn't like political crap. It was just like, no, we're going from this place to that place. This is what it felt like for me watching like the trailer, where I'm like, oh, so it's going to be a show just that's that, like about the things that I liked about the old series. Like, okay, the characters look good. I saw a little bit of humor in there also, which was interesting. But the characters look great. The setting looks great. The knights and the armor and all that stuff looked fantastic. You know,
oh my God, that one Targaryen helmet. Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Like when he pulled it on, and at first you're like, what? And then he pulls it all the way on, and you see like the sort of raised scales, like the dragons in House of the Dragon, when they get like popped up, their scales go whoop.
It looked fantastic, you know, like it looked really good and made me excited. Definitely excited for it. So I'm pumped. We're going to do that, right? I mean, we're doing.
Oh
this
yeah,
series,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
My only qualm about the trailer is that it was like 2.5 minutes, maybe a little less, and these are novellas, and it is only a 6-episode season. There are some worries between myself and other fans that they are going to split the first novella into more than one season. Now, these are completely unfounded worries. Like there's no proof that they're doing that, but I am going to be pissed if they do. And so are a lot of other people, I think. Just watching this first trailer and how long it was, I am worried that with future trailers, if they keep doing these 2-ish minute trailers that have a bunch of scenes and stuff in them, that they're going to give too much away. But we'll see. I mean, again, this is just me being like, oh, I don't want them to give too much away to people who haven't read the books. And mostly this is for your sake more than anybody else, obviously, but like I have other friends who haven't read them either. And I think that there needs to be elements of surprise.
Do you think that with them running House of the Dragon at the same time that they're going to do any spoilers on how that ended?
I don't know. I hope not, because in these novellas, there are spoilers, quote unquote, for other historical events, but they mostly focus on much later things, specifically the Blackfire Rebellion. It's either the first or second Blackfire Rebellion. I'm blanking on which one it is at the moment. And that happens well after House of the Dragon. The biggest spoiler, and I'm just going to tell it to you now, is that there's no dragons. Like there are no more dragons, but we already knew that from Game of Thrones, right? And this is Night of the Seven Kingdoms is set 100 years before Game of Thrones. So give or take, it might be less actually. It might only be like 90. So, or 80. It's close in there. It's less than a century essentially. So the fact that there are no dragons, I don't think is that big of a spoiler, that there are no dragons in this series. So yeah, looking forward to covering Night of the Seven Kingdoms in January. And that will be podcast only. We might do what we did, because I didn't do it, I don't think, for season 1 of House of the Dragon, but I did for season 2, I believe, where I did post our video recordings to patrons only, to $5 and up patrons. I'm probably going to do that again for Night of the Seven Kingdoms, but we don't want to try to do a live series because it's so hard to, when we're covering a show that is literally airing on a Sunday night, it's like, okay, so maybe we can record at like 7 or 8 o'clock the next evening, but we don't know exactly what time. And we both might have work things come up. And so don't want to do a live show for that, but still very excited for it. Did you find a Reddit story?
I did not. I did look around for something, but nothing bit out at me. So I did not.
All right. So here is our October 2025 Reddit story. Now, this was posted a couple months ago. The title being, I, 30 male, am just not into the cosplay my 34 female girlfriend does. Any help? ? Hello, all. My girlfriend and I have been together for quite a while now. I absolutely adore her. She treats me better than anyone else I've ever been with. Words cannot describe how I feel around her, and I couldn't imagine life without her. There is one thing that is getting in the way, though. She loves to cosplay and go to every convention there is. I've been to a handful now, and I just cannot stand them. I do it to support her and will always be there for her, but these things are just not enjoyable for me. The late nights, drinking, constant costume changes, and the amount of money I spend is crazy. I'm at one right now, and between the parking, hotel, food, and events, it costs me so much, and I am literally broke after these things until my next paycheck. I'm giving it a fair shot, and I do my best to support her, but my heart is just not in it. We go to these conventions almost every other month, and it's so exhausting. I honestly feel like I want to bring it up, but at the same time, I don't know how she will feel. Any tips on how I should go about this?
That's a good one.
Yeah, I thought so. Especially since I found it like right after Dragon Con. So I have a feeling this might have been posted. If it wasn't posted from Dragon Con, it was posted from like Fan Expo or something.
Yeah.
Now, I will say that there are some minor updates that don't sound like things are going so well, but they are still together. In one of the updates, this person did mention that they've only been together for about 4 months.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on this? Like, what would you tell this person at this point?
I would tell them that I'm still willing to go, but not every single one. Yeah, because you want to support them, and you probably just want to like protect them also, because who knows what happens at these conventions and stuff. You want to be there with them, like I get that aspect of it. However, I do understand the aspect of like, not wanting to do something and you're just kind of doing it to like support also, because that down the line, like if that's not communicated, that down the line is just going to turn into like some kind of jadedness or like bitterness, right? Because you're like, I'm going broke, doing all these things, doing all this stuff that I don't even want to do. It's just that. But then on the flip side also, man, if you really love the person, like there are levels of things that I am willing to do, even if I don't want to do them, because I love the other person so much, and as long as that's like reciprocated, it's totally fine. But I'm that kind of person that if I'm super into someone, like, even if I don't like doing it, I'm just going to do it because you like doing it. And I want to support the things that like you like. With it being only 4 months in, I think they're going to have some problems down the road. Like
well,
easily.
Especially if he's already exhausted with going to all of these things. Like that was when I looked for updates today. I was originally going to do this one last month in our September State of the Saga, but we got into other things and the episode was already kind of long. So I skipped Reddit stories last month. Probably a good thing because there aren't major updates to this, but the fact that we now know they've only been together 4 months is like, and this is now, the 4 months post was like 2.5 weeks ago. So when he posted this, they'd been together probably right about 4 months at that time too. Cause it was, I saw this posted right after, or maybe it was during Dragon Con. I should have noted the original date, but now I'm going to read you some comments because I already have read all this stuff. Like I know things that you do not know yet. So I have thoughts, but my thoughts don't matter until I give you this. Cause first of all, there were quite a few comments asking for clarification about why it costs so much money. So I do want to let's talk a little bit about how much conventions cost, even when you're splitting costs. You're looking at hotel rooms that are probably priced way higher than they would be if you were just like Dragon Con. You want to go to Atlanta
Mhm.
for a weekend, you can get a room at the Hyatt on a non-holiday weekend for probably, I mean, it's probably more now, but let's say with taxes and everything, $200 max for a room at the Hyatt
Mhm.
on some weekend, but that's an off
Mhm.
weekend. Dragon Con is like $400 a night now. And that's with
Yep.
the convention discount. Or I'm
Yep.
sorry, that's with the convention rate. If you were to try to get a room at the Hyatt during Dragon Con without getting a convention rate, you're going to pay $600 plus a night. And that's just the room. You know, I don't know how much any of the restaurants hike up their prices, but I would not be shocked to find out they do.
I feel like they do with the prices I was paying. I feel
Well,
like
but
they
it's
do.
all, and let's also be real. Everything is so much more expensive now. Like food wise,
Mm,
going out is just like, I went and bought 2 desserts at this bakery that I've been going to in Greenville since like 2018. And it was twice the price as I used to pay for the same sort of, like if I were to go there and
mhm.
get a coffee and a dessert in even 2019, it would be maybe $11-12, and now it's like 20.
Yeah.
So almost twice as much. We all know why. So yeah, conventions are fucking expensive. The tickets, not necessarily so much unless you're going to like a fan expo or something and buying like a VIP ticket,
Yeah.
but they're expensive. I mean, it's
Yep.
like any vacation, even if you discount the idea of the hotel room cost being more than it would probably normally be, food, drinks,
Mhm.
etc., pricey. But then some people are asking whether he's actually paying for her to go.
That would be different.
And he finally admitted in a comment that yes, he's been footing the bill for pretty much everything.
Okay. Well, now we have a
Now,
problem.
right. And this is, let's be fair. This is only one side of the story. He's saying pretty much everything. Like, obviously, I don't think he's paying for her costumes or anything like
Yeah.
that. But
Yeah.
if he is paying for all of their food and all of their drinks and the room and the parking and possibly
Yep.
gas, if they're driving there, that's different, especially if you've only been with somebody for 4 months.
Yeah. Conventions are not for everyone. So, I mean, I still roll solo because I am the only person I know that will stay up and walk around till 4 or 5 in the morning kind of deal, as opposed, because we're all getting older and I understand it's like difficult. It's harder now than it was back then. We're a little more seasoned now as opposed to the crazy days, but it's the only time I really get out of the house for any like prolonged period of time. So I always go kind of hardcore with it, where I'm like, no, I'm going to fucking drink and stay up and fucking like, I was a bit on the reckless side when it came to spending money, but I was still really frugal. I was still only eating like twice a day. I wasn't eating 3 meals or anything like that. I'd eat once in the morning time or the afternoon, and then at night when I'm getting fucking loaded, right? But with parking, with the gas of driving back and forth, no hotel, no nothing, you're still talking. I probably still dropped $500 or $600 fucking dollars, and I was only there for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Yeah, Jesus.
So I was still dropping $200 a day, between drinks and all that kind of stuff. The only time that I get spared is when you have your party, because I just buy the big things of beer in the suitcase or whatever, and like, so that way I can just like, okay, I'm just gonna snatch beers here as opposed to paying the $7 per beer or whatever it is.
I mean, anytime you're around, if I'm in the room, you can always come snatch a beer.
No, I know, but I'm so like unreliable at Dragon Con because I don't want to be reliable. I don't want like,
Yeah.
I don't want anything. It's like, no, dude, I'm just a ghost, man. Like I'm going to appear, like a ghost, and that's it. And then I'll just be gone. Like I'm just going to haunt you and then be gone all of a sudden, like that's my Dragon Con life.
Well, I mean, and as somebody who I've been in one relationship where somebody did foot the bill for pretty much everything for a bunch of conventions, but I say that when we would room together, like I paid my portion of the room still. He didn't pay my portion of the room. He would buy drinks for me and stuff, but like I would buy all the snacks and I would bring a whole bunch of alcohol, and I never asked for a portion of that back as far as I can remember. And this person made more than twice what I made in a year. And also this was an interest that he had as well. This wasn't me dragging him around to conventions and making him foot bills for me entirely. And even then, like I still felt kind of like I liked that it happened because I was constantly broke, but and he made so much more money than me. But like I wouldn't ask someone to do that for me, especially not somebody I've only been with for 4-ish months who had never even been to stuff like this before.
Like if it was like the other way around, like if she was the one that was making the money. Because the way I see it is that if I got a hotel at Dragon Con and I'm with somebody, I wouldn't want her to pay. I'd be like, well, just come with me because I want you to be with me for this, right? So if they weren't making as much as I was and I was able to afford it, that's kind of a different story, right? Because it's like, that's the way I see it. It's like, no, I want you to be with me because I want you to experience this with me. I don't want you to like split the bill or anything like that. Just come with me and I'll take care of you. And then you get to experience my crazy ass life, like whatever. But if you are paying for everything and it's something that you don't want to do and you've only been in the relationship for 4 months, this is only the beginning of the bad.
Yeah. So some of the comments, one person said, you're spending too much money and you don't like these things. It's madness to spend that much when you can't afford it. And this person says, like, just tell her, hey, I'm spending too much money on these conventions. I love your passion for cosplay, but I can't keep spending money I don't have. I need to be saving. What if I go with you X times per year, but the rest of the time I stay home? You get to go out and have fun and I can hold the fort down at home. She may be disappointed, but that won't kill either of you. Great advice, honestly.
I think it's good advice. Good advice.
There was a response to that comment where someone said, very nicely said, that's the basic skill so many are missing in their relationship. Just tell your partner your thoughts and feelings. Be sensitive. Don't be an asshole when communicating your desires. But other than that, you shouldn't be afraid to tell your partner what's going on. They like you and want you to be happy in the relationship as well.
Yep.
Another comment. It sounds like you feel obligated to go to these events. I wonder if that sense of I have to do this is external, coming from your girlfriend herself, or internal, you telling yourself you have to be supportive, be a good boyfriend, etc. Either way, you don't have to go. Sitting down with her and saying this hobby isn't for you is not a harbinger of doom for the relationship. It means you guys can have independent hobbies. I dated someone who absolutely loved fishing. I hate fishing. I went a few times to give it a try, and then we both decided that we'd do other mutually enjoyable activities to bond over together. Me not going did not lessen her enjoyment of fishing, and I was always happy to hear about her adventures after. Independence can be a good thing. Anyway, TLDR, just talk to her and be honest that this passion of hers is not a passion of yours. So basically, like, very similar comments. There was a good one from somebody who actually has experience with conventions. There was another comment from somebody who knew somebody who'd had convention experience, sort of like this. This person said, don't go, let it be her thing. It's totally okay to have separate hobbies. If you're footing the bill for all this, though, she'll have to pay her way now. I have a friend whose first husband didn't like the cons. He loved architecture and she found it boring. They'd go to whatever city together. She would go to the con. He would see the city and then they'd have dinner together. They were happy for a long time. He sadly passed away. It's been so long since I copied these comments, but actually that makes it like whose first husband, and you're thinking, oh, they got a divorce, but no, he sadly passed away. So like they had a happy marriage and then he sadly passed away, and her now husband enjoys the conventions just as much as she does. If he didn't, they'd find compromise. So yeah, it's all about fucking compromise. But I do have some, especially now knowing from updates, and there don't seem to be updates about whether or not he told her that he doesn't want to go to cons with her anymore, doesn't want to go as often, because other than knowing now that they've only been together for about 4 months, the most recent update was him saying he feels like she's prioritizing her hobbies, which is she does theater and cosplay, over him. So it's like, I mean, it sounds like there's other issues in this relationship no matter what, but also my concern would be, if you've only been with somebody for 4 months, why are you footing the bill for this shit? This is not dates, okay? Like, no. If I was going on a vacation with some dude that I'd only been with for 4 months, I would not expect him to foot the bill for my vacation.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm in it. Like, that's the kind of deal breaker for me. It's like, well, it's 4 months, man, and either you're just dealing with it to just kind of impress her, but that's not going to like last, and in the end, you're just going to wind up hating her because now it's going to be more of a burden, like to you.
Yeah. I mean, the first real vacation that Dean and I went on together was the one where we like made our relationship official. And it was for my birthday, and I paid for the hotel entirely, but he paid for all of our meals while we were there. Yeah. And like anytime I tried to pay for something, like he would let me sometimes, but the vast majority of the time it was him. And it was like, okay, well, we're going to this bar that I like for drinks, and they are very special New Orleans drinks, and they're very expensive. I will pay for these 2 drinks that cost like over $30 for 2 drinks. But if we were going out for food or whatever, he was always paying. But like, it was my birthday and I invited him. I don't mind paying for the hotel. And he probably spent just as much money, if not more, honestly, on food and drinks that long weekend as I did on the hotel. So yeah, it's very weird to me that this soon in their relationship, there's like some sort of idea that this person, we don't know if she was expecting him to, or if he just did because he felt he had to. And I think that's really like the kicker. But either way, you don't like conventions, just don't go.
Just don't go. Like, I understand wanting to be supportive and like wanting to like do things with your significant other, you know, stuff like that. But if it's something that's really costing you a lot of money and it's kind of making you bankrupt, you know, like, and it's something that you don't want to do. If it was something that you both enjoyed together, then yeah, it would make sense. Because I don't know, I'm old fashioned like that. I want to pay for everything. I want to drive. I want to do all those fucking things. And I don't care if it puts me in the fucking red. Like, my girl's going to have a good fucking time. However, if it was something that I really didn't like doing, you know,
and you're spending a fuck ton of money doing it,
a fuck ton of money doing it, and it's putting me in the red, then we probably have a little bit of a problem there. But he should just communicate it, because people in those comments are absolutely right. And that was what I had suggested. Just don't go to all of them. Just say, hey, look, I can go to like every other one, or like, because I want to support you and I want to like, or do one of those things. If they're going to another town, then find something else to do, you know, and then you can go to the convention and we'll have dinner and do all those kind of things. It's still workable. But at this point, I feel like if he posted about it, he's just getting bitter about it now at this point.
Yeah. And I mean, again, it doesn't really sound like their relationship has gotten any better based on the one update from like two and a half weeks ago, which is probably about 2.5 weeks after the first one. So I don't know, man, you're only a few months in. Cut your fucking losses.
Cut your losses and go.
I'm not even saying it's on her either. We're only getting one side of the story here. But at the same time, don't draw out a relationship if you aren't seeing or getting what you want from the relationship this early on.
And it's time to go. Yeah, it's time to go. Yeah,
it's not gonna get better.
Nope.
All right, let's move on to what have we been watching lately? What about you? Anything interesting?
So I've been rewatching the Better Call Saul series. I don't know why, I just kind of go back to it every now and then. Part of the Breaking Bad universe, and Breaking Bad was good. Yeah,
the metaverse.
Breaking Bad, the metaverse. The metaverse. You got to write that one down. So there's something about the writing in that. Like, Breaking Bad is a great show. I've never gone back to Breaking Bad. I've watched the whole series. I watched El Camino and like all that stuff. And I really liked El Camino, even though people didn't like it. I was a big fan of it. I thought it was fantastic. Characters are great. Very well directed. The cinematography is very unique, because he has a new show coming out now too. And you know it's the guy doing it, because just from the cinematography alone. But I feel like Saul Goodman was like a very kind of almost neglected character in Breaking Bad, right? Because he was just like the asshole lawyer. And this show really turned him into like the asshole lawyer with like a heart of gold. When they show his whole story arc of how he really became Saul, like, you really kind of feel for him, where you're like, I get it, because he was like a nice guy and everybody just shit, all his family shit all over him. They treated him like fucking garbage. Of course he turned into that in the end. The writing's fantastic. The acting is fantastic. I love that it has so many callbacks to Breaking Bad. Like, it's definitely a show that if you haven't watched Breaking Bad, watch Breaking Bad, of course, you know, because the show won't be as powerful. But I love that show. I like it better than fucking Breaking Bad, and I'll kill anyone on that hill. I don't care. But I always go back to it.
I have not ever watched all of Breaking Bad. I watched all of the first season and some random episodes, because like I was with somebody who's watching it as it aired, and I watched most of the last season. So I know how it ends, but like it was too much for me.
It's not a show I would recommend to just.
It's a fucking great show, but it's really depressing. And like at the time I had been dealing with some friends who had not meth, but I had been dealing with some people in my life who had some really bad drug addictions. And it was just making me feel a lot of ways that I was not in the mindset for that at the time. So, but I agree. It is an amazingly well-written, well-acted show, et cetera, et cetera. And again, like I watched all the first season and random episodes from the rest of the seasons and most of the last season. So it's like, I know how it ends, and I think that's kind of all I need to know.
That's all you need to know. Yeah, it's not a show that I just recommend to people, because like recently I had discovered that my 14-year-old was watching the entire show, and I was like, oh really? That's not something I would have wanted you to watch. I said, but now for your punishment now is that now you have to finish the entire series, and now you have to watch Better Call Saul. It was like a punishment where I'm like, well, now you're going to watch the entire metaverse here and this is what you're going to do now. And I made him watch Better Call Saul. And he had the same conclusion that I did. He was like, actually, Dad, I like Better Call Saul much better. It's still slightly ruthless in some aspects, but it's not like how Breaking Bad was. This one is way more like palatable. Even though towards the last season, it definitely gets super heavy, but it's still not as ruthless as Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
But still fantastic. And Bob Odenkirk is just fantastic. He's just a fantastic actor.
All right, I'm going to kind of rapid fire mine because I've been watching a lot of things. My ADHD apparently has been kicking into full fucking drive because I can't focus on any one thing at any one time. Things I've finished from last month, Alien Earth, which, you were talking earlier about, the great visuals review, right? That's how I feel. But if they're only talking about great visuals, then it might be a shit story. That's kind of how I feel about Alien Earth. Not that it's an entirely shit story, but I didn't like the story. I don't want to spoil it in case you want to watch it because it is worth watching. And
I do want to watch it. Yeah,
visually and everything, it's great. But you should definitely watch it because I would love to hear your opinions on.
I want to watch it.
The story and some of the interesting, let's say, ticks. And once you watch it, you'll know what I'm talking about. Anytime the subtitles say chittering, just think of me saying interesting ticks. I can't remember if I mentioned these last month, but I watched a couple Peacock shows and I started watching them. I can't remember if it was before we recorded September State of the Saga or right after, but there's one called Revival, which has Melanie Scrofano from Winona Earp in it. And I loved Winona Earp and I loved her in Winona Earp. So in Winona Earp, she works at the police department, but she's kind of she acts like an she's drunk a lot. She's sleeping around. She's having fun, but in Revival, she just is a cop. And this is a show, you could technically call it a zombie show because the main plot point is in the very first episode, all these people that have recently died come back to life. It's an interesting show. I don't know if it's going to have a second season. I can't imagine it was very expensive to produce. And it was good enough. I enjoyed it. I wouldn't necessarily be like, yes, go watch it immediately. But there was another show that was an Australian-based show that seemed kind of similar. And I can't remember what it was called, but Gina and I watched it on Netflix a year or two ago, maybe even longer, honestly. And this seems like a very similar story, but I don't know. It was good, but not great. Put it that way.
Gotcha.
And then the other Peacock show that I just finished watching, the 2 seasons that have been released, is Poker Face, which a bunch of people I know were like, oh my God, Poker Face, it's so amazing. Now, it has Natasha Lyonne in it.
I love
me some Natasha Lyonne. Her hair, her eyes, her voice. Honestly, if you like Natasha Lyonne, watch this show, period. I hadn't heard much about what it was, so I wasn't necessarily expecting anything specific, but it still somehow wasn't what I was expecting. It's good. It's episodic, but with an overarching story, sort of like iZombie is episodic, but there are overarching plots, right? It's good. It's a fun watch. Even when people die and stuff, it somehow turns into a fun watch. And then I've continued watching, and they're not done yet, Peacemaker, which the finale is tonight. I don't know if I'll watch it tonight. More likely I'll watch it tomorrow morning, but still good. And Only Murders in the Building, which this is season 5. It's still different from the first 4 seasons. I don't dislike it or anything. I'm not quite sure how I feel about the season so far, but we'll see what happens. I also restarted or started watching, and I say restarted because so The Bear on Hulu, I had watched the first season of that, and then I didn't have Hulu access for a long time, but I really liked the first season. So I went back and I've watched most of the show now, but it can be kind of slow at times. It's still super enjoyable and I really like it, but sometimes I'm just like, no, I need a break from this. But if you like food, it is so fucking worth watching. If you like food or fancy restaurants or watching people cook, it is so good.
I've been wanting to check it out because I don't know what it is, but there is something that is so appealing to me about working in a kitchen. And I know it probably is terrible and stuff, but I always wanted my own food truck. I've always wanted to do those things. So when I would see the trailers and little clips of it and stuff, I'm like, this is a show that I should really watch. And I just haven't gotten around to watching it.
I worked as a prep chef for Disney for a bit. I ended up as a restaurant manager rather than continuing on into any sort of chef-ish position. I loved some of what I did way back in the day. And you're right, I'm the same way. I could see that being a life that I would absolutely be very good at. But at the same time, when you get into those like really high level restaurants, it's not as fun as you think it is. So
I'm sure it's not. Yeah, I'm sure it's not.
but yeah, The Bear is really good. High Potential, which it's got Dee from It's Always Sunny in it. It's based on a French show, and it's basically like this woman is kind of a savant, and she sees everything and notices everything. So she is really good at solving mysteries. So she's kind of like working with the police department. It's another one where it's not like a show that is right for everybody, but I think if you like crime dramas and you like just kind of this person doesn't look like they should be or act like they should be working with the police, but they are, it is good for that. I mean, it's good, it's enjoyable, it's enjoyable as fuck, like, let's be clear. But season 2 just started, so it's only like 4 episodes in. I'm enjoying it so far. And then I also started watching The Morning Show, which is an Apple TV show. Steve had watched like the first season of it, and he was like, you need to watch this and tell me what you think of it, whatever. And now he thinks it's boring and he hasn't continued watching it, but I'm in like season 3. It's got Reese Witherspoon, Jennifer Aniston, Steve Carell, so many people in it. It can be boring at times, but it's basically like, what if Good Morning America had a dude on it that turned into a Harvey Weinstein type? Yikes. And weirdly enough, that's Steve Carell. And that's not really a spoiler because you literally find out at the beginning of the first episode. It is interesting. They cover a lot of like really real world stuff in the show. They literally were filming when COVID was happening. I can't remember season 2, or I think it might have been season 2, toward the end of season 2. It's not for everybody, but I also can't put it down. So yeah, just saying.
Nice.
Reading. Have you been reading anything?
No.
My God.
I wish I say I can, but the only stuff I've been reading is like construction software documentation. Like that's it. That's the only thing I've been reading for like a month. Just like the month before that, and the month before that. Like I'm just tired. So no, I haven't read anything aside from like the occasional bill that comes in the mail still. That's it.
All right, so I'll try to be quick here too. I just finished a book called All Adults Here by Emma Straub, Straub. It was basically like a slice of life type story, but not as like fun as you would think when you think it's slice of life type story. Nothing really happened in it, and the ending was weirdly rushed. So meh. I did start reading a huge collection of Emily Dickinson's poems. It's called Emily Dickinson's Poems as She Preserved Them, which is really neat because of the as she preserved them part and the fact that it shows where she had like different word choice options for certain lines of some of the poems. So like the poems on the left side of the page, and then if she had other word choices that she crossed out or whatever, they're on the right side. It is really neat to see like her writing process through that. And then I also, like just a few days ago, started reading this book called The Dictionary of Lost Words by Pip Williams, but it's like really slow to start.
Yeah.
So we'll see. And then audiobooks, I listened to this sort of thriller book about a serial killer called A Flicker in the Dark by Stacey Willingham. It was fine. It had a decent twist at the end, but the narrator was fucking maddening, as were most of the other characters. So I have thoughts. Like the narrator is a psychiatrist, I think. Like she can prescribe meds. She's talking about in the very beginning of the book how like easy it is to just call in a prescription for a controlled fucking substance like Xanax to the pharmacy under somebody else's name, and she can just go pick it up. And like not have to show ID or like any sort of like note from a doctor proving that she has to pick it up for this person. Like when I had a dog who had epilepsy, I had to go through this whole fucking rigmarole to get his fucking phenobarbital every month. And he was a dog. Every month I had to give them like a birth date, and there had to be like notes from my vet on the prescription about how it was a dog. And I had to show them my ID. Like they still had to scan my ID and everything and be like, okay, well, does your ID match the notes from the vet saying this prescription is written for Rigby, my last name, but Tara, my last name, is picking this up. Okay, sure, psychiatrist. You just call in controlled substance prescriptions for other people and pick them up willy-nilly, not even show your ID. Okay. And this was written in like 20, I think it was published in like 21 or 22. My dog stuff was before that. All right. Have you been playing anything?
No, but the day is coming. This week, they just released or re-released the 1997 classic Final Fantasy Tactics. This is one of the few Final Fantasy games that I've ever touched and never beaten. There's only two. There's this one, and there was Final Fantasy Part 9, because I didn't like Final Fantasy Part 9 at all. I got through like a quarter of it, and I was like, yeah, this isn't for me, and didn't like it. Final Fantasy Tactics is one of the most frustrating games I've ever played. After having a few goes throughout the decades of picking it up and trying it, and then it pisses me off, and I'm like, I can't do this shit anymore. Here comes the game all over again, knocking on my door, promising me that it's going to change and that it's going to be a better video game and it won't treat me the way that it treated me before. We all know that's a lie. But me being a sucker, I'm going to buy the game and give her a fourth chance at this point to clean up her act. We'll see how it goes. That'll take up some of my time because it comes out on the Switch. You know, I don't have any more consoles anymore, so it's like the only one I have left is a Switch. So it's like
I've never even heard of this game, so
yeah, I mean it's an old one because it's not a typical Final Fantasy game. It's a tactical like RPG is what it is. It was the first time they kind of branched off and did something a little different. So it doesn't play like a honestly, if you look at the story of Final Fantasy Tactics, everyone calls it the Game of Thrones of Final Fantasy because it has that same kind of format when it comes to the different houses and all this kind of stuff, which when they did Final Fantasy 16, the latest one, they made everyone on that development team watch Game of Thrones before they made the game.
Oh, wow.
And you can tell. And, you know, I was talking about this when I was kind of like reviewing it. I was like, this game is either like a mediocre Final Fantasy game or the best Final Fantasy game that was ever made. But I will say this, it would have easily have been a fantastic Jon Snow Game of Thrones video game. I feel like if they wanted to make more money, they should have not called it Final Fantasy, change the characters and make them into Game of Thrones characters. That game would have gone through the roof. It's very much has that same vibe of Game of Thrones. And the main character is fucking Jon Snow. Like, I don't care what anyone says, he's fucking Jon Snow. And I'm like, they really should have made this into a Game of Thrones video game. I think it would have made way more of an impact than the Final Fantasy one. So.
Yeah, I tried to start Civilization 6 because Steve like made me download it, but I don't know if there's something wrong with my game or my controller or what, but it is being difficult. And I put it on the easiest mode because I never played it before. Like, it's not giving me choices it should be giving me, or like not letting me choose things it should be allowing me to choose. And I got really frustrated and just quit after like 30 minutes of trying. So we'll see about that. Like, I'm sure I'll try it again, but I need to like sit down with somebody who's played it before and be like, why isn't it letting me? It could be my controller, honestly. One of the controllers I have, they both die after like 30 minutes of playing anything because they're both so old. And like one of them, the buttons are kind of sticky. So it could be something like that.
Could be it.
And I don't mean sticky like something spilled. I just mean sticky like it's an old ass controller.
Yeah, that happens. Yeah, that's very natural.
I have continued to play Red Dead Online here and there. Nothing major happening on that. It's still just like chores, but I don't know. Sometimes I just like doing some chores in my games. I don't like doing them around the house, but in the game, yeah.
That's why I never finished Cyberpunk. Like, I never finished Cyberpunk because it was like, oh, I'm just going to do some mediocre stuff. Like, I'm just going to do regular, like, I'm just going to deliver this to over there. And then story, like, is there a story to the game? Like, I don't even know. That's just what I'm doing.
Yeah, and there really isn't in Red Dead Online, which is why it's like game of chores is what it really is.
Game of chores.
I did finally start playing Red Dead 2 story mode again, though I very quickly, like even too quickly, despite the fact that I was doing every side mission I possibly could, got to the point where I, spoiler alert, have to send Arthur off to catch tuberculosis. Eventually he catches tuberculosis and there's nothing you can do to stop it. And I'm already at that point. It happens fairly early in the game. You don't know that that's what happens when it happens, but it is what happens. So instead I've just been spending ridiculous amounts of time playing poker. You don't win a lot of money either in Red Dead Poker. It's like, you'll be lucky if you like clear the table, you might walk away with $8.
Oh God.
Which I mean, in 1899 money is a lot of money, but like even in game, it's not really that much money. So, but also it's been helpful. I used to play poker a lot with the guy I was with in college. We used to do like penny poker with our friends and stuff. So it's reminding me like, oh, I can be good at this if I'm actually caring and paying attention. And when I'm trying to keep Arthur from catching tuberculosis. It is important. Okay, so what have you been listening to?
I've actually been listening to a lot of Rush lately for some reason. I haven't sat down to listen to them since I was like in high school, honestly. Like there's songs I like from them, but I haven't like sat down and like
Have they
gone
been
through their
fed to you
like,
because they're going on tour again?
are they going on tour? I have no idea,
Yeah.
but I might want to go
No.
now at this point. But
I saw them twice.
really?
Oh yeah, in 2011, 2012. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I never saw them, but I used to listen to them a good bit in high school and I just kind of stopped like for a long time because I was like a late adopter. I got into them when like the Roll the Bones album came out that nobody was into because it was a little different than what their normal stuff was. And that was the album that I got into and that kind of introduced, because I think that was like 91, I think, or 92 when that one came out. And that's when I got into it. And then I just started doing their back catalog, you know, and there was this guy I knew who was a big Rush fan. He started suggesting the albums. He's like, no, you would like this one. You would like this one if you like that album. And I did the deep dive back in the early 90s and like got into it and totally was like down with it. So, and I don't know, for some reason it just kind of popped back up in my head and I was like, oh, I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna listen to all this.
I had
that
a
and
close
like
friend who was super into Rush. I'm sure I maybe had heard, maybe, but also maybe not, because it wasn't anything my parents listened to and it wasn't anything that would have been on the radio stations I was listening to. So I didn't get into them, and I wouldn't say I was ever super into them, but I didn't get into them until I became friends with this person, and that was like 2002. So I never really had heard any of their music until like 2002. But yeah, they're good live.
Yeah.
So I know Neil Peart.
Neil Peart, yeah.
Yeah, I know he's no longer alive. But yeah,
Did you ever see that thing
supposedly
he did on the it was like on the morning show? Did you ever see that thing that Neil Peart did with the
Good Morning
quarter?
America?
When he kept it on the wall, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, he was
He was
amazing.
amazing. Fantastic drummer.
But yeah, they're good live. I'm sure they're still great. So you should definitely go see them if you never have.
I think I'm going to, yeah.
For me, I've continued listening to the Normal Gossip podcast. I've listened to some of Taylor Swift's new Life of a Showgirl album, and there are a couple songs I've heard that I liked just fine, but like no real boppers so far. But I also haven't bothered making myself listen to the whole thing. I'm sure I'll get through it eventually, but I've been seeing so much backlash about it that I'm trying to kind of distance myself from these opinions before I get through the whole album, because I want to form my own opinion.
What backlash?
It's a lot of like, she could use her platform to do so much good, but instead she's writing songs about her fiance's dick. It's a lot of what I've seen. And I'm just like, listen, I don't know. I don't think I've even gotten to that song on the album. And I don't care about Travis Kelce's dick or Travis Kelce at all. But
yeah.
And I'm not a huge Swiftie either. So I don't have skin in the game either way. All right, conclusion, upcoming events or things we're excited about. Anything for you?
So Halloween, obviously, you know, because Jen is very much a Halloween girl. So that's going to be exciting. Yeah. So some kind of Halloween something. And then we want to go to the corn maze. I want to take her to the corn maze also. The things that I'm looking forward to really aren't that big of things. They're just kind of more local, family orientated kind of stuff. Yeah. Looking forward to the Tron movie that I'm going to be watching this week, and I'm sure I'll have a lot to say about it for next month's episode.
Yeah, I mean, mine are mostly personal local things anyway. I'm still waiting on Dean and Cam. Fall for Greenville, which is a big food and music festival, but mostly food, is happening this weekend. You came here. Yeah, but we like barely got there in time. Like we didn't get there in time to do any of the actual Fall for Greenville stuff, which was sad. I'll be like actually going to that for the first time for real since I think 2018. In 2019, I was out of town for it, and in 2020, it didn't happen. I was in California the rest of the years. So yeah, I'm sure it's going to be crowded and miserable in a lot of ways, but it's like a mile and a half from here. So I'm just going to walk there Saturday afternoon and meet up with some friends and see what happens. My neighborhood is a nice trick-or-treating neighborhood, as I'm sure you've seen it a couple times. So you can tell that it would be a good trick-or-treating neighborhood. So I'm sure we'll do something here. Well, as we close out the episode, we once again want to give a huge thanks to our patrons for their support. Make sure to check out our other Geek Saga show series, including Media That Made Us, 90s and Naughties Cringe Factor, the Impulsive Hyper-Focused solo episodes, and more. And please don't forget to like, subscribe, or rate us 5 stars wherever you're watching or listening. And as always, please also consider supporting us by backing our Patreon at patreon.com/geeksaga_entertainment.